I think that we've all come to the conclusion that video game journalists love to be publicly shamed and they're desperate for a couple of dollars, so they are willing to embarrass themselves. And that is exactly what's happened in this newer Games Radar article, where the Journo admits that it took them over an hour to figure out how to make one jump in the tutorial of Tomb Raider 4 to 6 Remastered Collection. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I totally understand not every single game is going to be for every single person like Souls-likes. They are very difficult, they're challenging, they take a lot of time and effort and patience. That's not going to be an experience for everyone. Some people just want to play Animal Crossings or Hello Kitty Island Adventures, and they want to play Candy Crushes, and they want to just have a really fun, lighthearted, wholesome time when playing games, and that's perfectly fine. But as a video game journalist, somebody who is paid, who has a career based on playing video games and talking about video games, they probably should have a little bit more knowledge than they do, or they should at least try to figure out their mistakes, but sometimes they just can't figure it out. And apparently it took this journal over an hour to figure out just how to get through the Tomb Raider tutorial, because they said Tomb Raider 4 to 6 Remastered trapped me in a cave for over an hour, but at least it taught me a valuable lesson in following instructions. This is one of those moments where I think to myself, oh God, I'd never survive a wilderness situation. I can't even make progress in Aspire's newest addition to its Tomb Raider Remastered collection, which is breaking my heart for the second Valentine's Day in a row with its hostile modern controls. That's why you could use the tank controls, and I do agree that the modern controls are not kind of the smooth sailing experience a lot of people were hoping for, but if you're not used to the tank controls, I could imagine that they'd be slightly easier to use. It says the 1 through 3 remastered kept making my graphically upgraded, smooth and supple Lara drown in river currents like a wet rat, or pushing her off stone ledges like she was making every 50-foot leap with her eyes shut. Those clunky controls were neither truly modern since they responded inconsistently to my inputs, nor traditional since the remastered collection wasn't made with tank controls as its priority. They were awkward and unsexy, moving sluggishly through intrepid Lara's treacherous and implausible world made for an agonizing experience. So, if you knew that the 1 through 3 remastered collection just wasn't your cup of tea and you just couldn't get with the controls, why even try 4 through 6 when you know the controls are basically going to be the same? That being said, I'm currently stuck in a watering hole in the last Revelations tutorial area where I've been unsuccessfully trying to jump on a tall stone slab for over an hour. You could not catch me coming out and being like, haha, yeah, guys, I'm so cool and relatable. I couldn't even get past the tutorial for this game. Sure, I'll admit when I suck at games, like I suck at Tetris. I've never been good at Tetris. I'll admit when that happens, sure. But to sit here and write an article when nobody's watching you play something doesn't make you seem like the quirky, relatable person you think you are. It reminds you of when celebrities do vlogs and they're like, I'm just like you. I struggle with real life too. But then they're driving around in like $100,000 car and, they've got a $75,000 watch on their wrist and then, $150,000 ring on the other hand. Like, it's not funny. You're not cute. And everybody's just going to laugh at you for complaining. It says, though, I don't think this is supposed to be that hard. It really isn't. And again, I understand you might not be used to the tank controls, or this might just be a slightly harder game for you to really grasp, but it's not like many people are having this massive problem with it, because if we head on over to Steam, as you can see, the collection is currently sitting at very positive, and that's based on just 800 reviews, and most of the comments are recommending it. saying it's a super remaster. They think it's fantastic. Another great example of how to correctly remaster early 3D classics. Still playing through the games, but so far this is a faithful and beautiful remaster of these games. For something they put together in less than a year, it's pretty damn good. I really only had a few frustrating moments, mainly when they force your camera to look at something, though on modern controls. AOD definitely still needs a ton of work, but I'm positive that much needed fix and improvement would come in later patches. I miss this kind of difficult and challenging game. She's as beautiful as the first time I laid eyes on her. Shout out to the How to Train Your Dragon reference. The classic games are lovingly restored for modern systems, so most people are saying that they're very good. Sure, some gamers are saying, they could have been, cooked for another half a year. They need a little bit more time. Some of them are a little bit janky. Some are like in alpha stages, but the majority of people are saying they're really good. They're really fun, really positive, and this is the only journo who made such a big fuss saying they couldn't even get past the tutorial. This is why gamers point and laugh at journos, because they don't really know how to play games, or I guess really they don't take the time to learn them, because you'd think after an hour you would understand how to play it. Sure, maybe you walk up to a ledge and you fall a couple of times and you really have to refocus. You have to dial back in, and maybe you make the jump and then you spend 10 extra minutes mastering that jump because you want to make sure that you know how to do the jumping properly. Like you just need to put a little bit of brain power into it, but they didn't. And yes, this article is from about a month ago when this collection came out, but I was recently tagged in it, and I just thought it was interesting because I hadn't heard of this article. I hadn't seen it before, and I do think it is important to point out when journos are the most insufferable people possible. And I guess one of the latest examples is this Tomb Raider 4 to 6 remastered collection, because this is definitely going in the Hall of Fame for Dean Takahashi Cuphead moments. Took him forever to get out of the tutorial. We have David Jaffe not being able to get through Metroid Dread. And sure, like I stream 20 plus hours of video games a week, and there are definitely times where I'm distracted and I'm looking at chat and like I'm not really paying attention to the game, so I end up walking in a circle for 20 minutes. But I don't think that I've ever had a moment in a game that has been this embarrassing, where I could not get out of a tutorial. And apparently to these journos, it's just funny and quirky and relatable, when really it makes them seem super ridiculous. And there are tons of gamers pointing and laughing, saying this makes DSP look competent. If this was recorded and published online, this would likely be made into a journalist experiences bug jumping mechanics video. And there we are, people, posting the Cuphead the Cuphead gif, which, by the way, Cuphead, the situation to me is even worse because it literally tells you on the screen which buttons to press. It's not like they just throw you into an open area and they tell you, okay, go figure it out, but there's literal button presses there. Cons, not enough yellow paint. Big Dean energy. Dear Lord, guys, you have to understand Tomb Raiders of Souls, like it's supposed to be hard, so lots of people memeing on them. I think that this is really funny, but honestly pretty ridiculous, because these people just don't know how to play video games, and they really just don't take the time to learn video games either. So I don't see any sort of response to this, but I did think it was really funny and thought that you guys would get a good laugh out of this too. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.